Hello everybody and welcome to the channel. It's Polyester here and I want to show you a couple things. First of all, look at this balloon. Look at this sewer. It's basically Pennywise confirmed, right? Not so fast. So first let's start with the balloon. A few people sent me this image of this balloon and it's supposed to be a model from Dead by Daylight. But if you look up at the top here, it says package is game, weapons, prototype, flotation balloon, mesh, creepy balloon, asset. So if you search for creepy balloon Fortnite, you see that this model is actually from Fortnite when they had the balloons coming out of the sewers in Fortnite. This doesn't have anything to do with Dead by Daylight. This isn't a model from Dead by Daylight. It's from Fortnite. Having said that, can we just remember that for the 3rd anniversary of Dead by Daylight, we already had balloons in the game hanging from the generators and the hooks? So it shouldn't come as a surprise to anyone that balloons could already exist in Dead by Daylight. And even if this were a model from Dead by Daylight, it wouldn't mean anything because we already had balloons in the game before, right? So this sewer thing, I think I am kind of largely responsible for it coming out. I'm not entirely sure. But the other day, somebody sent me this model rendering of this environmental tile in Dead by Daylight in the swamp called The Villages. And I wasn't really familiar with this other than I had seen it in the art book of Dead by Daylight. So I asked my friend Necrocrafts to look into it and see if they could find out anything about this map tile. He made a video on it, and then he wound up finding a lot more information about some of the stuff in the swamp files for tiles in the map, which included this sewer rendering as an asset, and also the blood tree, I believe it's called, and this gigantic willow that you could run around and stuff. So after Necrocrafts published his video, and we all went, "Oh my God, sewer! What does it mean?" I came to learn that during the 1st anniversary dev stream of Dead by Daylight back in 2017, they had this very extensive, long 3.5-hour stream. I never saw this whole thing because that was during the time when my son was quite ill and hospitalized, and I had never just taken the time to watch the 3.5 hours of the anniversary stream. But at the very end, they showed what they were working on for swamp assets, and this sewer was covered, as well as the blood tree, as well as the swamp villages. And then they showed what we have since come to know as the Grim Pantry map.
So we have a little video of, it was actually an update from the, what is it, sometime last year. So as far as anniversaries go, we're going to give you a little sneak peek into what we were doing sometime last year. You can go ahead and roll it. You know, sometimes we come up with ideas, we model them, we implement them in the game, but they don't make it into the final version.
Like this. My idea was like, oh, maybe we could have like sewers and stuff and connecting to the swamp.
Yeah.
And they mentioned that they had been working on those assets for over a year. Now remember that this dev stream took place on June 15th, 2017, I believe. And then if you look at the trailers for the first I think the first trailer came out in March of 2017, and then the movie didn't even come out until the fall. And they mentioned that they had been working on these assets for a year before they showed them to us. So to think that they were somehow working on this sewer specifically with Pennywise in mind doesn't make a lot of sense. I realize that there was a 1990s miniseries of It with Pennywise in it, but I don't think it was really on anybody's radar when they would have been working on this swamp asset. So to tie in this sewer to Pennywise doesn't make any sense to me. It doesn't fit the timeline. Now, is it possible that, yes, they could get Pennywise and reuse this asset that's in the game now? Yes, but I don't think you can make any argument that when this sewer asset was created, that it was with that intention. It just doesn't match in the timeline whatsoever. A mutual friend of mine in Necrocrafts, that we'll call Stabby Myers, sent me this image of the tiled maps from the game files here, where it talks about, see how it has number 6 on all these for Swamp, because the Swamp was the 6th realm that was developed for the game. And it has the map names here of Dead Lake, Grim Gully, Grim Pantry, and Pale Rose. Pretty well corresponds with the things that Matt Walker was talking about here. And the Dead by Daylight wiki acknowledges that the Dead Lake and the Grim Gully are 2 names of unused, unreleased maps. Will they ever become released? I don't know. And as Stabby Myers was looking into this for me, they came up with this interesting image from Realm number 5. Realm number 5 is Haddonfield, and it's called Suburbs in the files. And we have the Suburban Street, which is Lampkin Lane. And then we have this other one here called Suburban Facility, which I had never heard of before. As far as I know, the wiki doesn't acknowledge the existence of this. So let's just take a moment here. What if the reworking that we're presuming is coming for the Haddonfield maps with Chapter 14 is more than just a Badham Preschool rework where they just change around some of the tiles on the Haddonfield map? What if there's a brand new Haddonfield map coming called the Suburban Facility? Now, what would a suburban facility be? Perhaps a sanitarium? And we know that there's a Halloween collection coming out with new cosmetics here, described as the Halloween collection. Michael Myers escapes the Haddonfield Sanitarium. Embody the legend of Michael Myers in the escaped patient outfit. Is it possible that one of the reworks for the Haddonfield map is going to be a completely new map, like a sanitarium, kind of like a Larry's facility with a Halloween vibe to it? What would that look like? Could that be a thing? All right, take this tinfoil off. So one thing I do want to talk to you about is the Nintendo Switch trailer for Dead by Daylight. I'm watching this trailer for the Nintendo Switch, and it opens up on this artistic rendering of a place that is completely unfamiliar to anyone playing Dead by Daylight. And it just boggles my mind that they would choose to put this illustration into the trailer of a location that none of us can recognize. Doesn't make any sense to me. Wouldn't you want to put like Thompson House or Haddonfield or something that we could all recognize in the trailer as players? But no, they put this brand new location in here, and it just makes me think that it could be a clue to the next map coming or something to do with the next chapter. And so I look at this house and the stonework, and it just doesn't look like anything familiar to me from a licensed horror movie. I went through a bunch of different Stephen King locations to try and see if I could match the house up to anything, with no luck. And today it just struck me that looking at this, I'm thinking, you know, the only time in my own real life that I wind up seeing a structure like this, a house like this, is when it has been an old schoolhouse. And then the penny dropped for me today that I said schoolhouse, oh my gosh, because if you haven't seen King's videos where he went to New York Comic Con and met with the Dead by Daylight staff there and did 2 interviews with Matthew Cote, should definitely watch these. But one of the things that came out of that interview was he asked Matthew if we would ever see the teacher files used. These go way back to pre-Nurse. They're like the pre-first DLC released for the game. It's 2016. And he said yes, that there's something to do with the teacher files. So that made us wonder, is the teacher coming back? And I'm like, no, I don't know. Maybe they're going to take this dunce cap thing and apply it as part of the punishment to all these ding-dongs with DC. You're going to DC, here you go. Here's your dunce cap. I didn't really think that this meant that they were going to resurrect this idea of the teacher killer, because they released 4 originals in a row, and they had a lot of opportunity to resurrect this idea of the teacher killer, and they didn't. So I didn't think it was happening. But then when I looked at this building and I said schoolhouse, that made me reevaluate that. Is it possible the teacher's coming and this is part of the teacher's map with the schoolhouse, the old schoolhouse? Probably not. But when I look at this building, it reminds me of stone schoolhouses. If you Google stone schoolhouses on the internet, you get all of these images of places that look very similar to this. Does that mean something? I don't know. Let you decide. And then finally, we had this tweet from Yanma that says here, so me and Cozy Chicken discovered that Store Cube in the game files of DBD. The model has its own textures and animations, so I decided to make a quick render of it. What could it be? So when I first saw this, I immediately thought that this was a puzzle box from Hellraiser, but now I don't know. And why would it be called Store Cube? But I'm gonna go ahead and show you that here now. So here we go by Yanma. Store Cube. The way it was moving, I was like, oh my gosh, this is totally gonna be the puzzle cube for Hellraiser, but it doesn't make sense. It's called Store Cube. Open. Some people have said, oh, that's probably loot boxes, but the devs have said, don't worry, it's not loot boxes. I thought maybe it was going to be a thing like if you reach the end of the Horus Web in the archives, that's how you're going to like unlock the cinematic or the memory, the page of tome from the archives. I think that's probably most likely what it is, but it's definitely interesting to look at anyway. So now that we've taken a look at this balloon asset and this sewer asset, and I think I've shown that they can't effectively be connected to Pennywise in any way, at least when they were initially put into the game of Dead by Daylight. What evidence do we actually have about Pennywise coming to the game other than the fact that some people who worked for Dead by Daylight followed Stephen King on purpose, orchestrated follows so that we would notice? What does my gut say? Something really feels weird and off about this one. Doesn't feel like the other ones that we sniffed out. I feel like it's a misdirection. I certainly hope that Pennywise is coming because it would be a cool character. I think if you go down this road, though, where you're putting out these red herrings to try and misdirect people, I think you have to have something equally as extraordinary waiting in the wings so that it isn't a letdown, if you know what I mean. If they go, oh, it's the teacher. I was hoping it was going to be Pennywise, but we got the teacher. Yay! You know what I mean? I think it just has to be something that's really going to knock your socks off of equal or greater importance. I don't know what's going to happen. I really have no idea, and I'm perfectly okay with that. I want to wake up on PTB day just as stunned as everybody else who has no clue what's going on and just go, oh, it's so-and-so. And that's what I'm hoping happens. And I think if it is Pennywise, I'll still get that because I really don't have any idea. That's all I have for you today. Thank you for taking this trip with me through our tinfoil hat group to analyze some of this stuff that you may have seen circulating on the internet and break it down, try and figure out what's going on. And I don't know if we got any closer. But hey, the good news is we only have about 4 weeks to wait before we'll see that PTB for the next chapter, which is super exciting. Anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. Take care of each other out in the fog and let your Candyman survive your victim. Hello everybody, welcome to the channel. It's Polyester here. You're about to enter another dimension, a dimension not only of sight and sound, but of mind, a journey into a wondrous land of imagination. Next stop, the Tinfoil Zone. Okay, so I'm gonna try and explain everything that has gone on behind the scenes. Some of it you know about, some of it you don't know about, talking about all of the Pennywise theory stuff and what the pieces are, what the so-called evidence is, what we can determine from anything that has happened, if anything, and I'm going to try to keep you in the loop as much as possible and fill in the gaps about why you saw some notifications from me and there weren't any video. So let's get started. So for me, this whole thing started on Monday, September the 9th when my Checkpoint XP interview came out. Lovely folks over there at Checkpoint XP had me over. They wanted to expand more into horror game discussion, and they had me on as a guest for their podcast to talk about the latest chapter of Dead by Daylight being Stranger Things, and they had remarked about how I had predicted the identity of the killer in the last 2 chapters, and they put me on the spot and asked me to make a prediction for the next chapter. So with nothing to go on, the only thing that I could think of was that there had been red balloons seen in Fortnite which was a tip of the hat to It, or Pennywise. And Fortnite had done a crossover with Stranger Things, so now that they were doing a crossover with Pennywise and It, maybe that would be the next thing that Dead by Daylight would be working on. And I should note that as a Fog Whisperer, you know, I have a working relationship with some of the people at Dead by Daylight, although it does seem like we are at odds sometimes because I'm trying to unravel mysteries and they're trying to keep them under wraps. You know, we still do have a working relationship with each other. So when I had done this checkpoint interview, I had shared it with the community manager to see if they were interested in it, you know, hoping I had done a good job representing the brand and all of this. So I'm pretty sure that they did watch it. So then we fast forward a couple days to Thursday, September the 12th, when I am alerted by a few people on the internet that they have noticed that the Twitter accounts of Dead by Daylight, Matthew Cote, the game director of Dead by Daylight, and Patricia, the community manager of Dead by Daylight, all started following Stephen King on Twitter. Now, if you watched my last video about Pennywise, you probably remember that I clearly demonstrated that all three of those Twitter accounts had been following Stephen King for quite a long time before this, and this was an orchestrated series of follows that they created this alert by unfollowing Stephen King and then refollowing him. Again, we should note that Patricia and Matthew Cote are dating, so they talk to one another, and I'm pretty sure that one of them, if not both of them, has access to the Dead by Daylight Twitter account. So it would be very easy for them to, as a couple, decide to unfollow and refollow Stephen King to orchestrate this alert that all three of the accounts started following Stephen King suddenly. Now, knowing that it's orchestrated, you have to wonder why. There's only two possibilities. You wouldn't orchestrate this for any reason other than to troll the community, or because something happened and you want the community to know without actually saying it. Just kind of a wink. Which is it? We don't know. And having said that, later that day, also on September the 12th, I had a conversation with someone who works at Behavior. I'm not going to say who it is because it sounds more sinister than it is, and it's really more of a playful conversation. They told me that I'm discussed in meetings, that they have to do things to make sure that I don't catch on, and that the quote here says, "You can bet your ass I'm going to try to lure you away from all the truth from now on." So does that sound like a person who works for a company that wants the community to know that they have the rights to a Stephen King property, and they're winking at us by unfollowing and refollowing Stephen King on Twitter to orchestrate that bank of follow alerts? It kind of sounds like the opposite, doesn't it? From there, we're going to fast forward to Thursday, September the 19th, when Matthew Cote tweets Tony Hawk, the professional skateboarder, saying, "How does a respected video game developer go about asking you to be in their horror game, asking for a friend?" And everybody saw this and their mind exploded, and nobody knows what the heck is going on at this point. Why is he talking to Tony Hawk? And then the next day, Dave Richard tweets to Matthew the gif of the Parks and Recs Ron fella who says, "I am really proud of you." Dave, what are you proud about exactly? Are you proud that Matthew Cote reached out to Tony Hawk, or are you proud that Matthew has the whole community running around in circles chasing their tail and nobody knows what the heck is going on? 'Cause I don't know what's going on at this point, and well, I love it, but anyway, let's carry on. So then everybody is so confused at this point, and Tony Hawk, with his 4 million plus followers, somehow responds to this tweet with the answer of, "Ask your friend to ask me, and we can go from there." What? And then Not Queen tweets back, "I grew up playing Tony Hawk Pro Skater. I'm unreasonably excited here right now." And then Ricochet says, "What's happening here? I'm deliciously confused." And Not Queen says, "Everyone is confused with this laughter thing." And nobody knows what's going on, why Matthew did this. I have a theory, but it's pretty off the wall. So let's talk about that. Okay, so back in May, Last year, okay, so one of our artists got way too excited and actually put Pennywise into the game, and it's freaking scary. Now we have a ton of crazy ideas for It gameplay. Could this be a thing? Who do we even need to talk to? At It Movie Official, at Stephen King, hashtag It Movie, yada yada yada. And for like 2 weeks on stream, I had to listen to all these people who came in my chat and said, did you see that last year the Nightmare is getting Pennywise? I'm like, that's not what the tweet says. That isn't what the tweet says. And I was super critical of last year the Nightmare. I felt like this was very irresponsible for them to do. It was like clickbaity, and it maybe even made people buy the game because they thought that Pennywise was coming to their video game, which was not the case. And they have since made a statement saying that they're not getting Pennywise and they just want to focus on their original content. They had an Ask Me Anything on their Discord, and they answered this question. They're not getting Pennywise in last year the Nightmare. And I just was very super critical of them night after night when this question would come up. And I said, this isn't how you run business. You don't do this if you're a game developer. You don't take to Twitter to recruit people to come to your game. Why would you ever do that? You make calls, you seek out connections. If you don't know who to contact, you find out. You don't recruit Twitter to help you get a license. This is ridiculous. And I said, could you imagine, and I used this phrase many, many times on my stream, could you imagine Matthew Cote taking to Twitter and trying to get a license through all of us on Twitter? Who would I ask if I wanted to get this property in my video game? I said that several times, and I just thought it was such a ridiculous concept for a respected game developer to take this route. And now here's Matthew Cote doing the very thing that I said he would never do. And it made my head explode. And so I was like, what does this mean? Is he... Now, you know, I am not trying to put any words in Matthew's mouth. I could be totally off the wall here. And I said, does this mean he actually did get Pennywise and he's poking fun at last year the Nightmare the way they did it to bring Pennywise up in their Twitter? And he went behind the scenes through the correct channels and he really did get Pennywise, and now he's poking fun at them, and he just picked Tony Hawk as a person at random to insert into his tweet, and never expecting a response because Tony has over 4 million followers. And he did this as an example of how ridiculous it is to try and do it this way. And the real message is that he got Pennywise. He did it through the correct channels, and he's snubbing his nose at last year the Nightmare. I could be completely wrong. Maybe this has nothing to do with last year's Nightmare rivalry or any shade towards them. But that was the way I read the situation. Again, this is completely on me, and I could be way off base about it. But I don't think that they thought that Tony Hawk was going to respond. If you see even Patricia's response to this tweet, she has the George Clooney behind the hedge, like, oh my God, he responded. What do we do now? And like, now he actually talked to us. Do we actually explore this? We didn't think that we'd ever get this far, kind of a thing. So that was my take on the whole situation. And I could be completely wrong, but that made me think, wow, did they really get a Stephen King thing? Like, what's going on? Or what if referencing Tony Hawk Pro Skateboarder on Twitter is a very vague clue about Pennywise? In the movie It Chapter 2, we see this kid, Dean, the skateboarder, who claims to have heard Pennywise talking to him through the sewers. Maybe referencing the most famous skateboarder in the world on Twitter is a very roundabout clue towards Pennywise. I don't know. Hey, is it worse than anything else we've got? So then we fast forward to the morning of Saturday, September the 28th, with the quote-unquote vanishing video on the Dead by Daylight channel. So there were multiple reports of this on different websites, on Reddit and the Dead by Daylight themselves, that basically I'll show you a couple examples. So here's the one from Reddit from Sudan Bikuri. Did anyone else see this notification? I got a notification from the Dead by Daylight YouTube channel that was titled something with Pennywise in it. I can no longer find the notification, and it's not on their YouTube channel. It's like it never happened. I know this seems fake, but I just saw it. I understand if you don't believe me, but I know someone else on this subreddit saw it as well. Just remember this post when Pennywise is released, so I'm not known as a liar. There were a couple people who corroborated this. And then there was a post on the Dead by Daylight forums. We saw that behavior, that notification. I'm not crazy. So today I just got the notification from the Dead by Daylight channel called the Pennywise. If it never happened, I'm going to the doctor. So yeah, this happened, but nobody has a screenshot. Nobody got an email about this. It's a handful of people, as far as I can tell, who even report that this video happened and existed. So around 9 hours after that, I tried to do some testing to figure out how this could be possible, that so many people could get a phone notification but not an email, and then not be able to have like a screenshot of it and stuff. So I started doing some testing. Maybe I shouldn't have made the video the same name because that created some confusion, but I put up a video called the Pennywise and I published it, and then I set it to private like within 5 seconds, and people got emails and notifications from that. So that test didn't work. I was trying to create a test in a way that I would publish a video and that it wouldn't create email notifications, and I couldn't get it to do it. So I tried again, and because people said, well, you only privated the video, you didn't delete it. What happened with Dead by Daylight is they deleted the video. So I did a second test where I published the video and then I deleted it within 3, 4, 5 seconds. And again, it published notifications, pushed out email notifications to people. So that test failed. I did a third test. As far as I'm aware, no one got the notification for this, where I set up my window browser side by side so that I could publish and then delete almost instantaneously just by moving over to 2 side-by-side browser windows. And I just hit publish and then went over to the other one and clicked delete. And I already had the step done where it says, are you sure you want to delete this? I had already done that so that I could click it as quickly as possible. And as far as I'm aware, nobody ever got a notification on that third test. So I couldn't replicate the results. So I was trying to mythbuster this thing and see if it was possible that people could get just phone notifications but not emails, and not be able to come back to me with proof that I had published something and deleted it. But the times that I did, everybody said, hey, what's this video? I heard about it a whole heck of a lot, which I don't think, I have not even 1/10 of the number of subscribers that Dead by Daylight has. And I heard about it a lot, about what's this video that you privated or deleted after a couple of seconds. And I don't think that it happened that much with Dead by Daylight, which left me super skeptical that it even happened. As an update to that, today somebody tweeted out to me saying that there is a discrepancy between what Dead by Daylight's own channel says they have for the number of videos on the channel and the number of videos that Social Blade thinks that they have, and it's off by 1. Does that mean anything? I don't know. But according to Social Blade, Dead by Daylight has 208 videos, and according to YouTube, Dead by Daylight has 207 videos. Is this missing one video the supposed vanished video? I don't know. So now I'm seeing all of these Pennywise confirmed things, and I'm like, what are we actually confirming this on? Where's the evidence? Are we really basing all of our evidence on this supposed vanished video that no one can prove ever existed, and the orchestrated Twitter follows of 3 Dead by Daylight accounts that we know that they orchestrated those follow alerts? That's the gist of the evidence, right? The other piece of evidence I see people talking about is that all of the quote-unquote Pennywise threads on the forums are being deleted by the mods. I don't know that that necessarily means that it's happening. And now I see people saying you can't even put the word Pennywise on the forums without it getting deleted. But yet I see these threads that say behavior should stop deleting the Pennywise posts, since by now it's really likely that Pennywise is coming soon. Why
Listen.
All right, so today we're going to be doing ability only, Billy over here, so chainsaw only. But on the second game, we're going to switch it up a little bit and make it a little harder on myself. So, first game, we're going to go ahead and do Drift King Billy, and in the second game, we're going to go ahead and do Speed Limiter Billy. So, we got barbecue and chili. 40 meters or more away. When I hook a survivor, I see their auras for 4 seconds and then stackable bonus for blood points. We got Hex Ruin to slow the game down just a little bit. And then we got Infectious Fright. So when I down a survivor, anyone within my terror radius, I see their auras for 6 seconds. And then we got Monitor and Abuse. So increases terror radius by 8 when in a chase and decreases it by 8 when out of a chase and increases my field of view by 10 degrees. And then for add-ons, we got Thompson's Moonshine, increases my steering, and then Spike Boost also increases my steering, but just moderately. And we have no stream today, but we'll have the stream on Wednesday for the cosplay, so you better fucking be there. And that's about it. And I have a double upload for tomorrow because I didn't have to stream today, so hope you enjoy. Like the video. All right, so we want to get some snipes in, but we're on Suffocation Pit, so this might be a little hard. Just a little bit hard. He's already gone. Alright, this is gonna be a little annoying, but let's force this pallet down. Nice. Let's see if we can get someone else. He's got sprint first, but he also threw down the pallet, so that's nice. Went back to his gen. Oh no, he didn't. He's hiding around here. There you are. Woo! I almost fucked that up. Almost. Not quite, but almost. Okay. At least there's a hook right here. No one was around me again. Ah. I was hoping I'd get around that. Okay. Woo! That was a whip and a nay-nay at the same damn time. Hey, ma'am, sir, person thing, you get your ass back here. What do you fucking think you're doing? Hey! Oh boy! Oh. Okay. Didn't think he was gonna have that. I should have known because he had quick and quiet. What am I talking about? Oh, so close. I tried to block him. It didn't let me though. All right. All right. Let's hook some people. Might as well. We'll go put this guy in this back hook. He's probably gonna save him before I get back over there. Maybe. If he's not too much of a little bitch, but we'll see. Oh no, he's sitting.
She picked off a couple like 6-year-olds and a principal. And the principal. This is like the 70s. I researched this because I'm
It's before it was a thing.
psychopath. I forget her name. And I bet Chip knows.
Chip knows what.
Hey,
The
handsome.
first female serial killer.
Eileen
School
Wallace.
shooter. School shooter.
Uh,
Sorry, school shooter.
Not school, mass shooter.
Well, yeah,
Well-
she didn't go mass. She just did
It was like
school.
you said, a couple of
She got a couple
kindergartners.
kindergartners.
I don't know.
She had part. I want to say Betsy. She had a part down the middle. It was like in the 70s.
Hold on, what do they